July 2nd, 2008 truly became the best day of my life because I thought it was the ending and it actually turned out to be the beginning.
How did you even get there where you became addicted to something?
For me, it was opiates. I was 14, and I dabbled with all sorts of other drugs, but once I became an agent at 24, I understood morality clauses, so I had to be very careful about doing anything with any illegal drugs.
Darren Prince, CEO of Prince Marketing Group, 25 years driving sports and entertainment marketing.
$500 million in deals and a roster of global icons. Get ready for insights from a true industry powerhouse.
The general public saw my life and thought I had it all. Millions of dollars coming in with the business, the biggest stars in the world, but it was miserable. I just got to the point where I didn't want to wake up anymore in the morning.
So Darren, it's not only you got through that chapter of your life of the addiction, like you're into the biohacking.
Yep, I think it's probably 10 or 11 protocols every single day that I implement. Got to throw in the hydrogen water, the red light therapy. I've got that too next to my bed.
It sounds like you're living my life.
Yeah. There's actually healthy stuff out there that people might think they're eating every day and have no idea why they're continuously getting rashes or something that the body's rejecting.
What's the advice you can give to the ones that are saying, well, I'll change tomorrow?
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of a Healthy Point of View podcast. I'm your host, Sam Tejada, and as usual, we're bringing people from all over the world to talk about health, wellness, beauty, and mindset. Today, we're bringing our guest here who is an expert and agent in the world of entertainment and working with athletes. He's an agent this guy has probably seen it all when it comes to the entertainment world. But part of it, there's something that we deal with on a daily basis, people that especially they get involved in that world of entertainment, which is addiction. He dealt with it himself and he was able to overcome it. And now he's a huge addiction advocate, helping people overcome those addictions. And today we're going to talk about that because that's something that has to be addressed. That's something that we want to be able to give people the guidance so they can overcome it and live their best life. Today we have Darren Prince. What's up, brother?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Pleasure to have you here. Yeah. So, Darren, man, it's just, for the viewers and listeners, who is Darren Prince?
Who's Darren Prince? I guess I'll give you like the 30-second version. So I grew up in New Jersey, live in California now. Been an agent for 31 years. Magic Johnson was my first client. Still with him to this day.
Wow.
Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Carmen Electra, David Goggins, Ric Flair. A lot of iconic figures. But that's more the work side. The personal side, that means everything is. Just 2 weeks ago, I celebrated 17 years sober.
Amazing.
Best-selling author of my memoir, Aiming High, that was published in 2018. I have my own 501c3 charity, the Aiming High Foundation, that 100% of the proceeds scholarships people in need of treatment. And it's the first and most important thing in my life, recovery and helping people out there that are struggling.
I love that, man. I love that. And that's a powerful thing. And I could tell you, 12 years working as a firefighter paramedic, I was exposed to a lot of people that had addiction issues to different opioids and other type of addictions as well. And sometimes people can't overcome it, and it ends up in going in the wrong direction, and it can lead to death, right? It can lead to families being destroyed, people losing their careers, things that we've worked so hard to accomplish. So, there's a personal spot in my heart when it comes to helping people overcome addiction. So, the first step I want to talk about is how did you even get there where you became addicted to something?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was opiates. I was 14, and I dabbled with all sorts of other drugs, but once I became an agent at 24, I understood morality clauses, so I had to be very careful about doing anything with any illegal drugs. So, having Magic and all the clients I had, Chevy Chase, even early on was Dennis Rodman. There were so many that doctors just saw the external sense. I remember even bringing them signed Smoking Joe Frazier boxing gloves and Muhammad Ali boxing gloves as gifts. And like, I can't have a problem. Yeah, whatever he needs, give him whatever he needs.
Wow.
So it was kind of like I just manipulated the system. And I'm careful when I speak. I do a lot of speaking all over the country, especially when it's to high school kids, because it worked. It did actually work the first 5 or 6 years as an agent. But at one point, what was once living to use turned out to using to live. So whatever those superpowers that the opiates, the Oxycontins, the Percocets, the Vicodins were giving me completely turned on me. A couple overdoses after that. And I had a moment of clarity. God shot my late uncle and his girlfriend, Andre, who actually lived in Miami, were visiting my mom in New Jersey. And I was at that jumping off point, man. It was like I was just living this double life. All my boys and the general public saw my life and thought I had it all. Millions of dollars coming in with the business, the biggest stars in the world. But it was this double life. It was miserable. I just, got to the point where I didn't want to wake up anymore in the morning.
Wow.
And so my uncle Stu and his then girlfriend visited my mom on July 1st, and they paid me a surprise visit to my condo in West Orange, New Jersey. I never met this woman before, bro, and it was like tractor beams. Like I was so drawn to her, and I was fully vulnerable. She asked me if everything was okay, and I told her the truth. And she's like, "Do I realize I'm an addict?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you realize that you're powerless?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you realize?" And she looked at all the photos on the wall of me and Ali and Frazier and Magic and Pam and Hulk, and said, "You realize this doesn't mean anything because you don't mean anything to yourself."
Wow.
And that broke my soul, and I started to cry. And she said, "I can help you." And 24 hours later, I was in my apartment in New York City with my then wife, and I called up my uncle and Andrea. They were back in Miami, and I said, "I can't do this. I'm detoxing. I'm going to call the doctor to get what I really want to get." And they're on the other line. "This is the damn disease talking. You got to surrender already, become accountable, get to a 12-step meeting, and get the help you need." And I said, "I can't do it. I've been to those dumb meetings in my early 20s. I slammed the phone up, bro, ran into the bathroom, locked the door. Then wife thought I was, going to kill myself because she was a part of a couple of the overdoses, and she's banging on the door, and I'm going through the medicine bottles. But I wasn't looking for opiates. I was looking for one of the non-narcotic anxiety pills that Andre said I can take during the detox period. And out came 2 Vicodins, which was so crazy because I specifically remember on July 1st in that evening of 2008, we spent hours cleaning out all the medicine cabinets so I wouldn't be tempted having any opiates in the house.
Right.
And here there are 2 opiates, but for whatever reason, man, it's one of those moments in life. I fell to my knees. I screamed up to God, "Take the money, take the business, take the notoriety. If you give me a single day of freedom, I'll take others out of hell." And it was a white light moment I've never had before and haven't had it since. It was like the shoulder caught fire. I heard a voice say, "I've got you when you're ready." I flushed the pills, went into the living room, went onto the computer, found a 12-step meeting in the church in the upper 80s. This was way before Uber. And this beautiful summer night, sitting in a cab on the way to this church in the upper 80s for this meeting, I'm looking up at the sky and I said, "Wow, the hell just happened?" For the first time in my life, I wanted to stay sober more than I wanted to get high. And I walked into this church basement, and 150, 200 addicts and alcoholics were all once for a hopeless state of mind. And the leader said, "Has anybody knew anyone coming back or anyone sick and suffering?" And this hand went right up.
Wow.
I often said, I believe it was God that raised my hand because
that takes a lot of willpower to even raise your hand up.
Yeah, my ego was crushed. I
Wow.
literally came in at the jumping off point, and I knew this was like a matter of life and death. And to say, "I'm Darren, I'm an addict, I'm struggling. I've got an unbelievable life outside these rooms, and I'm killing myself. I need your guys' help." And about a dozen spiritual brothers and sisters came over, and they told me so many things, but the one that really moved me was that they were going to love me before I ever knew how to love myself.
Wow.
And that just made me feel a part of something. For the first time in my life, it wasn't even my clients, my close friends, my family. this group of spiritual brothers and sisters that knew how to get through life one day at a time, without, relapsing or picking up, became closer to my family. As close
Wow.
as I was to my family, it's hard to even say that they were. It was like they just understood
They just
everything about my
understood.
thought process, and
Right.
I became immersed into it. And then after a year, my sponsor, Steve, is like my spiritual brother. He's got 38 years now. He calls me up on my 1 year birthday and says, "It feels pretty good, right?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "All right, look, you've been a taker the past year. You've been coming to meetings and taking. But you got to start doing is giving back." And he goes, "You've got a
Wow.
platform with the people you know around the world that you don't need to disclose the exact name of the fellowship. You could say a 12-step recovery fellowship has changed your life." And you just say, "But you're sober." He goes, "I got a feeling you're going to help a lot of people around the world." And I did it. And that's when everything
Yeah.
changed. I realized that, wow, this is unbelievable. There's a lot of people out there that need help.
Yeah. Darren, I'm listening to your story and I wasn't realizing until you got to the end of about you being a taker and you got to be a giver. And when you started saying that, you at that point in time, you have the platform.
Yeah.
You got all the top people around you.
Yeah.
You were at the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it seems like you've lost yourself.
Yeah, I lost myself. I had no sense of fulfillment. Um, the money and the success and the notoriety didn't mean anything anymore because you're just looking to wake up in peace
Right.
and to just find that happiness again. And what I thought was real happiness, which was the external success and all that validation, wasn't it? Until
Yeah.
I started doing the work, putting a year together, 2 years, 3 years together, giving back, starting my own 501c3 charity, writing the book, everything I do on my personal development from, and all the biohacking, everything else that I do, because just like my guy, David Goggins, I wanted to be uncommon amongst the uncommon in recovery. Because
Right.
a lot of times they talk about the 12 steps, and the 10th step is about continuing to take your personal inventory, and when you're wrong, promptly admit it. That's a step for everybody in life. You don't need to be an addict or an alcoholic, but why do you want to keep taking our personal inventory when we're wrong, promptly admit it? Why don't we get to the root cause of that character defect and get rid of it? So through
Right.
meditation, breath work, NLP, frequency work, everything else that I do to go deep into my subconscious on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I want to get to the root cause of everything
Yeah.
because I want to be a higher version of myself the next day.
That's amazing. A lot of people are always consistently moving around in that train of success,
Mm.
right? Where you can lose yourself very quickly. And what is one thing that you can really share with the audience? Because when you're in that train of success, right, and things are just happening, and you're going up, climbing that mountain, and you're getting exposed to a lot of the different vices. You're going to parties, you're doing this, and it's like happy time, right? But at the same time, you get stuck into this thing where it's almost like you start thinking about it, and you know that you're doing something wrong, but then you just say, "Oh, I'll just change tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll just change tomorrow," and
Yep.
it's always tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. What's the advice you can give to some of the listeners about the ones that are saying, "Well, I'll change tomorrow"?
Mm. Yeah, it's really just working on sense of self because, um, nobody's given a handbook at a young age on how to be successful. But at the same time, we're not educated enough with the temptations that are out there. And a lot of times, most of us aren't developed enough at a young age to even know half of who we are and who we want to be. So when you're around the temptation environment, very easy. I mean, it's well, why do you think we see so many musicians, actors, actresses, athletes, mess up at a young age?
Right.
But I think it's the most important thing to me. Not that my friends were bad people, but I really think it's about it's your surrounding, it's your environment, it's the friends that you choose to hang around. And, we say people, places, and things. It's the people you hang out with, the places you go, and the things that you do. I think most people are logical enough nowadays to understand if they're around a good quality group. And if you're not, you have to start changing your group around a little bit
Right.
to be around like-minded people that understand that they want to be on that path of growth, personal development, change, being the best version of themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if it's anything but that, you just gotta, doesn't mean they're bad people, but like my friend Joel Osteen says, you gotta learn to love certain people from a distance,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because they will take you down their road a lot quicker than you'll
Right.
take them to your way of life.
Yeah, you need people that are on the top of the ladder that are there to
Yeah,
lift you up, right?
yeah,
And at the same time, you want to have that arm extended to lift up others as
100%.
well too. Do you feel that now through everything that you've been through, that you could go into some of these environments that you were in previous to and be the light inside of that environment?
Yeah, 100%. It happens all the time, especially with what I do for my career. There's so many individuals that I speak to but whether it's 12-step meetings, whether it's phone calls, Zooms, seeing people in public. There's times where, I could just be out at a restaurant, even this. I mean, this brought me so many experiences. This is the logo of the fellowship that I'm in. And I've had so many people stop me, man, and it becomes a conversation at a restaurant where that actual person or somebody else is struggling. And
Oh,
I'm able
wow.
to get them the help that they need and
Yeah.
point them in the right direction. And I've even scholarship people through my foundation. It's just unbelievable because, I think now my authenticity has become, and vulnerability has actually become a superpower because it's so rare. I
Right.
think if I didn't do what I did for a living and I'm just this regular everyday guy talking about this, I might not get the level of respect and appreciation, you
Right.
know, but it's kind of hard when people see, what I do for a living and who
You
I
live
work
it.
for and whom some of my closest friends in the world are some of these, amazing men and women. But that's not the most important thing to me. And they'll tell you the same thing. 90% of my calls with Magic Johnson or Hulk Hogan have nothing to do with business. It's about life. Charlie
Right.
Sheen, Goggins, the same thing. Um, we're just all in this amazing, place of just being happy, healthy, wanting to serve others. They want to see their families do good, and they're just so happy for me finding my purpose.
That's amazing.
You know what I'm
And,
saying?
and
I truly found my purpose from my pain.
right, right. And you could change so many lives with that,
Yeah.
and just even coming on platforms like this and
Mm.
just sharing it with the world. The reason why I asked you the question earlier is that, I'm a believer, and I live my life through Christ, and I have a lot of friends that are also believers, but they won't step into an area where there is temptation, right,
Mhm.
or where people are doing drugs. I'm a little bit opposite. I feel like God has given me a very strong heart, a very strong mind, where I can go into these environments, and I'm not going to be tempted to do any of those
But
vices. I'll actually be the light to
to
try to
help others,
to
that
help
might be.
people
Yep.
to move away from it. And it seems like you've been able to get yourself there to be that light.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, if there's someone that's listening who says, "Man, I want to be that light," what are the steps you recommend that person take?
I mean, really, if you're struggling, it's about number one, having accountability. Stop pointing the fingers. We all got trauma in the past, good, bad trauma. It all exists. Blaming mom, dad, whatever. All our parents did the best they could with what they had. So it's looking at you in the mirror and basically admitting that you're the one that's messed up and now taking an action to get the help that you need. So when you can get on that solid ground, you can now be a light to other people.
Right.
And, it's meditation for certain people, it's counseling, it's 12-step recovery meetings, it's church, it's whatever faith, whatever it is that allows you to take that bottom and make it a brand new beginning to then become that light. Do it because time in life goes by so fast. And, none of us want to be could have, would have, should have, because when you get there and the miracle truly happens, it's the greatest thing in the world. Then you
Right.
understand what real wealth is. I've done very well for myself in my career, so have you. But you also talk about putting the Lord and God first. We understand what real wealth is.
Right.
Like if I lost all this stuff, tomorrow and the success, it's not going to change me
Right.
because I found me on this journey.
It's the difference
I
between
found who I really am
inner
and what
wealth,
makes me happy.
right?
And I know I can find something else, rebuild, whatever, because I realized this stuff, it was never about that.
Right.
It was about, like I said, finding self-love, developing that real self-esteem, and self-esteem comes from doing esteemable acts to serve others.
I love that. I love that. Because there is a big difference between outer wealth versus inner wealth.
Yep.
Right. We're always looking for that external validation
Yep.
of who we are.
Yep.
But the internal validation is what people have to work on.
That's that's our legacy.
Right.
The external stuff, great, so we pass things along, but no, that doesn't change lives. The lives get changed, and we get remembered for what we do for people that are struggling and that need a break and that need a helping hand or whatever it might be.
So Darren, it's not only you got through that chapter of your life of the addiction, man. You've taken it to a whole nother level. Like you're into the biohacking.
Yep.
You know, and that's something that you have to have like that desire for that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your daily habits of what you're doing for biohacking.
My morning started with my meditation. I got my boy Landra that does different 10, 12-minute tune-ups for me to start the day in his own little apps that he sends me. And then I went into my frequency watch. You guys don't have frequency out here. You know, I've tracked up and tried it. It's next level stuff.
So the frequency says so.
You're
now you're
of it?
talking about language.
You're aware of
I'm
it?
big into bioquantum.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's
And that-
next
to me,
level.
that's-
So I actually have a frequency watch
You
that
do?
works on detoxing the liver, the kidney, inflammation in the body. I run that for about 20
I haven't heard of
minutes.
that.
Yeah, it's next level.
You're gonna
I
have to send me
showed
info.
Gary
Yeah.
Breckett last time I saw him, and he went wild. I mean, I've taken Goggins to this place. It's called Sports IQ. If you guys want to look it up in
Sports
Westlake
IQ.
Village,
Okay.
California. It's in the Four Seasons. My boy Brian runs it. He owns it. Next level stuff, and they could treat you remotely too through light.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. So I did that.
What do they do? They get like a hair follicle from you and then treat you remotely? or
No,
something?
it's like bioresonance. I mean, I can send you guys the link on it after.
Okay.
But if you look up Sports IQ, it's mind blowing. They can literally treat you 30,000 feet in the air. If you have an upset stomach, if you have a migraine, if there's something not right, they can literally diagnose you through the computers just from having a stock photo of you looking through your eyes on the. Yeah, we got to talk
That's
about
it.
this after. There
Yeah.
might be a business venture to
Yeah,
start expanding some of your
100%.
locations because it's legit.
I've always said that's
So,
the future of medicine. All that frequency. work.
I will connect with my boy Brian too,
Okay.
because it's next level stuff. So I have the frequency watch. I did my grounding patches.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
I have the little. If I don't bring my mat, I bring the patches. I got
Okay.
a nice workout in, and that was the basic. Then I did a cold shower because I can't. Obviously, the ice bath can't come with me.
Right.
And there's other things I do, like tune-up wise throughout the year. My boy John is a NLP practitioner,
Okay.
neurolinguistic programming. So he
Nice.
could take you deep into your subconscious and pull out some of, the patterns, thought process that could actually cause physical dis-ease within the body,
Right.
mentally, physically. And so him and I have been working together probably on and off. He's a personal trainer of mine for years, a nutritionist, and he started studying this 20 years ago. It's what Tony Robbins does. It's
Okay.
incredible. So, we check in maybe once or twice a year, but I do love the 12 steps. The spiritual meetings mean so much to me.
Yeah.
I still do them 5-6 days a week.
Any plant-based medicine?
No, people have told me a lot about obviously the
ayahuasca,
ayahuasca and my boy Landre. He does the microdosing, and he's told me about it. And I have been told, from the opiates, from so many years of opiates, that there is a little bit of damage in the rear lobe part of my brain. And he's mentioned to me that not the ayahuasca, but the microdosing, but it's just really never been me. Like, I realize I'm still a work in progress.
Right.
Like I'm as higher self as I've ever been. I say like this, I'm not exactly who I want to be. I'm still not yet where I want to be, but thank you, God, I'm not the person I used to be. Certain things I'm like, I don't know. I know people in recovery that talk about the ayahuasca and the microdosing, but I'm just I really don't think it's needed. I think where I'm at 17 years now, I'm in a really good place.
And you feel
Although,
good, right?
what's that?
And you feel good.
Yeah, and I feel good.
That's
I'm
amazing.
55. I feel like I'm in my.
You don't look
I feel like I'm
55,
40.
man.
Like I said, I've got the 10x supplement protocol. I mean, there's so much stuff that I do. I'm not even kidding, bro. I think it's probably 10 or 11 protocols every single day that I implement. You got to throw in the hydrogen water. I mean, the red light therapy. I've got that too next to my bed. There's a lot of stuff.
It sounds like you're living my life.
Yeah, yeah. And at 55, there's not many 55-year-olds that do it, and I've been doing it for several years now.
Yeah.
And I know it works, but we got to get you on the frequency.
Yeah, I want that.
It's a game changer.
Listening to your story, you went from like literally one end of the spectrum to a whole another end. Like you're living the healthy life. So Darren, right now there's a big movement that's happening with the new administration called the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again.
Yep.
You're really into biohacking and everything else. What do you think about this movement under RFK Jr.?
I mean, it's needed. I actually spent time with RFK in September. He's a big recovery advocate too. Tucker Carlson's a good friend and client, and I got to go to one of his events in Anaheim, and I thanked RFK Jr. for what he's doing. I mean, it's needed, man. I mean, there's so much that parents don't realize that the kids are eating at a young age. And what I've also realized too from so much of the biohacking and, like 10X, for example, their blood work is very different than a traditional doctor.
Right.
My boy Brian at the Frequency Place can read things that most blood results can't see. Like, you can legitimately be eating tomatoes and it could be causing inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
There's actually healthy stuff out there that people might think they're eating every day and have no idea why they're continuously getting rashes or something that the body is rejecting. So I just think overall it seems like we're like this obese nation that's constantly just eating like the worst crap. It's all about, the sugars and the carbs, and it's just not enough emphasis put on it. And the reality is, I think for the youth, it's so important, man, because if they're not putting the right stuff in their body, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, guess what happens by their late teens, their early 20s? Mental health becomes an issue.
Hormone issues, all kinds of stuff. You know?
And you're getting into those developmental stages, getting addicted to putting the wrong things into your body.
Wow. They said there was a statistic out there that said that if there were to be a draft, the people that fit that age of a draft, men, about 70% of them are out of shape to be in the military.
Terrible. That's insane.
I mean, that, in my opinion, that makes our country weak, right?
That's a crazy
You
number.
go to other countries, some of these men are men, you know? They're built like men, So, health and wellness definitely needs to be kept a priority.
Absolutely. And even the stuff I mentioned, like what people don't realize, I was on Bradley's podcast talking about it, and I talk about the wellness stuff I do all the time. It's not that much. Like, I know people are struggling out there, but, a grounding mat, you get a decent one for $100. Hydrogen water bottle, $150. Like, you got 2 great pieces right there. Red light therapy, another $150. You're under $500 for 3 major items that help you with inflammation, brain health, and various other things.
And you can do it every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a consumable cost. You just fill it up with water.
And if you don't know the extra $100 for the grounding mat or the $150, whatever it is, take your shoes off and walk barefoot on the grass for 15, 20 minutes a day. And tell me how you feel after doing that for 2 weeks.
Go get some natural sunlight first thing in the morning, right?
Same thing.
So you feel it. It recharges you. And these are some of the simple little hacks. Because one of my goals, me being Dominican, growing up in the inner city, and my 2 partners, they're African-American, is, getting this out to the minority community, this information that you and I are talking about right now. And, obviously money is an issue in certain areas. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of these things that you can do that are not expensive. And a lot of it is free,
Exactly.
So, I love that, man. You're doing some powerful stuff. Darren, as we wrap up here, and if there's any listeners or viewers that really resonate with today's message, especially the message of what you lived through addiction, and you can lead them off with one thing, what is that?
I mean, if you're struggling, just ask for help. Stop living in shame. Stop living in the double life. You can DM me on Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is at agent_DP. It's the biggest blessing of my life, but I thought it was the worst day on July 2nd, 2008. Truly became the best day of my life because I thought it was the ending and it actually turned out to be the beginning.
Wow. Wow. Brother, I appreciate you bringing this positive message to all of the viewers and listeners. You're changing lives, man.
Cool. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me, my brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, you heard it from Darren. That day that he mentioned was the start to a new portion of his life to help others. We don't just have a duty to take care of ourselves, we also have a duty to take care of others. So even if you're not the one who's dealing with addiction, we all, deep down inside, know that we know someone who is. It's our duty to help that person out. And if you don't know the steps on how to help them, Darren just said it. He's here to make sure we can get these people led into the right direction. Reach out. All of his information is down below. Make sure you share this with your friends, your family. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all that fun stuff, and we'll see you for the next one.